J.C. Newman Cigar Studios in Boston, Massachusetts. Welcome to the Smokin Tabacco Show with your hosts, Matt Tobacco and Smokin Nicole.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Smokin Tabacco Show live from the J.C. Newman Cigar Studios. I'm Matt Tobacco from SmokinTobacco.com, and I'm joined once again by the beautiful Smokin Nicole. And tonight our friend Reinhard joins us, a man of multiple hats, yet his newest and latest endeavor will be that of joining the Meeraphel Cigars team. But he's done a lot of other things before that, and we're going to get into all that tonight. Reinhard, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure and honor. I'm delighted to be here. I have very fond memories of our last get-together and us doing the last show together, which was in Las Vegas during the PCA for our Light 'em Up show, live coverage from Vegas. So finally, good to be here with you, and thank you so much for having me.
Oh, absolutely. We appreciate you being with us, especially with the time change. It's 1 a.m. over there right now, I believe is what you said. So
yes,
it's really late or early, depending on how you look at it over there. So we appreciate you being here. It's definitely a late night. But I mean, we can get right into it. I mean, there's a lot of things that you've done, within the cigar community. Obviously earlier this year, a month or so ago, we got the announcement of you were going to be joining the Meeraphel Cigars team with that new venture. But you've also launched your own app. You've done some work with Cigar Journal magazine. Let's just take a little step back for some of our viewers who might not know who you are, which I feel like most people do. But for those who don't, how long have you been a part of the cigar community?
Well, for the cigar community, I smoked my first cigar when I turned 18. I put on a black suit and tie. I went to a traditional old-school American bar in the city center of Vienna, sat at the piano, ordered my first cocktail. I lit up my first cigar, and that was the beginning of a beautiful journey. So
that was a beautiful story. I mean, it was so picturesque.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like James Bond.
I mean, I sort of always had that feel for special things, great experiences, and what was fascinating for me about the world of cigars was sort of the whole mystique around it. I had zero idea about cigars, in all honesty, back then, but it was somehow appealing to me because I felt it was something special. That there was a certain magic that kind of captured my attention, and that just stayed with me all the time. Originally, my background is in wines and spirits and hospitality. I was always a polymath, interested in many different things. But right after school, I worked for a large catering company. I worked with handicapped pupils. I almost became a professional drummer. I was a skiing instructor, and I studied socioeconomics. But what truly fascinated me was the world of smell and taste and sensory nuances, and treating other people well, serving them and just providing wonderful experiences to other people through all the various means that we have. What's fascinating about that is it sort of brought me back to my roots. I come from a very simple and humble background and upbringing here in Vienna, Austria. My grandfather actually lost a foot in World War II, and he was sort of a fighter for all his life. And we truly never had much, but we had the family table. And so that love and appreciation for a simple, humble product, for something that you craft with your own hands, and something that you can perceive and smell and taste and appreciate with all your senses, that was sort of installed in me from a very early age on. And I rediscovered that through the world of wines, spirits, hospitality where you gather people around the table, and ultimately also in the world of fine handmade premium cigars. Because I think those products are the quintessential expression of us as human beings, of culture, history, geography, and it gives us an understanding of the people that came before us, that have put their blood, sweat, and tears, and their heart and soul for crafting that beautiful little piece of fermented tobacco leaves that ultimately we get to enjoy all together. And so that's a sort of a long-winded answer to somehow the fascination for cigars has always been with me, even though I had no family, relationships with it or no imprinting. I just discovered it by the sheer fascination and the sheer nature of it, and so it sort of stuck with me ever since. And in terms of a more professional relationship with cigars, that only came later in life. I worked as a bartender, as a host in some of the most accomplished bars, restaurants, and hotels around the world. I lived and worked in London at the famous American Bar, helped setting up a gin craft distillery. I worked for a consultancy company, and ultimately back in Austria, I started my own. I did consultancy for five-star hospitality for various luxury brands all around the globe, about creating those meaningful experiences, creating mesmerizing multi-sensory experiences. And cigars perfectly fit into all that. And since I'm a journalist as well, writing for different drink and gourmet publications, that's sort of how I ended up with Cigar Journal as a contributing author, and in particular covering an event called Mountain on Fire, which happened a few times in a row high up in the Austrian Alps, with Rocky Patel coming over. In the first year, he officially launched the Grand Reserve in Europe, and later on the Liberation by Hamlet. And I was covering that event for Cigar Journal, which brought me in contact with them, and that truly kickstarted the sort of more professional part of my cigar journey.
Now, you also started Light 'em Up, which is not only just your weekly show, but it's also an app now.
Light 'em Up Go.
Light 'em Up Go.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit more about the development of that. I thought that was very interesting. The concept being you can find cigar lounges all around you, in shops, like wherever you are. You can find them all around the world. Tell me a little bit more of how that came to be, and kind of what it took to really get that going.
So the initial idea and concept for Light 'em Up was to start a podcast with more of a sort of a European voice. I always loved the fact that in the US there are so many great shows like yours about cigars, podcasts, the Cigar Authority, all these wonderful programs where you can learn about cigars and you can connect with other people. And I wanted to do something over here in Europe where we hardly find any of these cigar podcasts or new and modern cigar media. So I came up with the concept for Light 'em Up, but then COVID hit, and we suddenly found ourselves locked down, stuck at home, with no chance to interact, to have those personal, meaningful encounters and gatherings. And since I am a host at heart, and as I described before, hospitality is what I live and breathe on a daily basis, I was looking for opportunities to continue doing what I love best, and that is bringing people together, providing opportunities for us to engage with each other and have great conversations, enjoy fabulous products. And so I thought of, why not start a virtual lounge or a virtual bar almost, where, well, we probably do not have a chance to sit side by side and next to each other smoking a cigar, but we could still come together, have a meaningful conversation, enjoy great cigars together. And that's truly how the Light 'em Up Lounge came about. So it was a weekly program every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, beginning on March 20th, 2 years ago almost. We did our live lounge, and for quite a lot of people internationally, it became their safe space, their little piece of sanity in a very challenging and devastating situation. And it became this wonderful movement, almost a community of amazing people from all walks of life, from all ends of the earth. And I realized that a couple months in, Light 'em Up was just so much more than a weekly live show or just a virtual lounge. It truly grew into a movement, as I said, and a family of like-minded people. And thus I kept asking myself, what is the evolution of that? What is the next step? How can we continue to bring people together, to provide answers to pressing questions for the cigar loving community? How can we bring value to the people that enjoy premium cigars and be relevant to the modern cigar enthusiast? And so besides the lounge, I did a lot of research and a lot of interviews with people where I was trying to truly find the essence of what it is that they need on a daily basis as cigar consumers. And over again, I found myself, discovering those same pressing and most prominent questions from all the people internationally. And as we know, that is, where can I buy my cigars and make the best and most educated purchasing decisions? Where can I then smoke those cigars? Because it's becoming more and more challenging, especially over here in Europe, in Asia. When you're traveling on business, for example, and you come to a new city or country, you probably have zero clue about where to buy and where to smoke. And then thirdly, who can I enjoy those precious moments with? Again, just imagine you're on a business trip to Hong Kong, and you're lacking contacts or friends in the area, so you truly want to know, now where can I get cigars, where can I enjoy them and smoke them, and would I possibly find somebody from the premium cigar community that would love to join me, and let's have a smoke together. And Light 'em Up Go is the answer to all that. It's intended to be a Swiss Army knife for the modern cigar consumer and enthusiast. And the Swiss Army knife, something that you have in your pocket, a tool that you can use for all various purposes, and it gives you the answers to those questions. So whether it's in your own city, in a foreign country, you have that little application in your pocket that will help you find the very best cigar retailers, the traditional brick and mortars, cigar lounges, and it gives you an opportunity to connect with like-minded people, set up your own little private herf, either physically or virtually. So both of that through our event feature. And that's truly it. It's true to the purpose of Light 'em Up, to help people, to connect people, build bridges, and be of service to the cigar-loving community.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've done a really good job putting that together. And I really like the concept myself. I love how you hit on like being on a business trip and going somewhere else. I want to know whether there's going to be, a cigar shop or a lounge or anything, near where you're going to be. That's great.
And it did work. We downloaded it to use here. There's not very many locations to smoke here in Boston, but we found them through your app, actually. So
yeah.
And I mean, obviously, we have a large database of spots globally, but we also rely on our dear friends and family in our community give us feedback. I mean, on a daily basis. we have our users sending us new spots and information regarding, hey, could you please add this or that? Plus, the retailers and lounge operators themselves, they can change the pictures, give us a little more information and help us to make sure that all these information are accurate and always up to date. So it's a constant process. It's a constant back and forth and learning from each other.
Absolutely. I think we should hit our cigars of the night really quick, though.
I know we didn't talk about that yet.
I forgot about that from the beginning.
What are you smoking?
Nicole, why don't you go first?
I'm smoking the Meeraphel A tonight. It's
Great
Meeraphel
choice.
night.
Great choice. I'm smoking the Meeraphel Connecticut Toro. And according to our friends at GuysCigars.com, if you're a Meeraphel A fan, shout out to the ambassadors in the house. You can find this cigar at GuysCigars.com for $8.39 a single, or a bundle will set you back $149.99, and that's again at the number 2 GuysCigars.com.
We actually had a question in the audience, super quick. Where can they download this app? Reinhard,
So,
light 'em up, go.
because of tobacco regulations and the issues that I'm sure you're all familiar with when it comes to online services and tobacco products, it's not an application that you will find in the Apple Store or Google Play. It's a web application, which is also, I would say, probably the most up to date and most recent way to sort of build a new state of the art application. So all you have to do is go to app.lightemupgo.com, and it gives you the look and feel of a native application. You can save it to your home screen, where it will take you right to that web application, which we built with Flutter. All it really asks you for is an invite code, because we said Light 'em Up should be a safe haven and a safe space for the cigar-loving community, and that's why we installed that invite code, that people will not only jump on randomly, but through that little extra hurdle, we make sure that everybody on there has gotten the invite code from a smoking buddy, from a smoking friend, and it's also beautiful little extra in terms of sense of community, because you already know that you will have a smoking buddy on the application, somebody that you can connect with and engage and interact with, which is very important for us.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's like I said before, it's a great tool, and I'm excited to watch it continue.
Matt, just to add that, sorry if I interrupt you there.
No, go ahead.
It's actually very easy to get the invite code. All you got to do is either ask yourself, Nicole, ask myself, send us a DM, or just ask somebody who is already on the application. Could you send me the invite code? It's a very simple word, and that's truly it. So it's really not a hurdle. It's just for us to make sure that it's a protected and safe space for all us in the cigar loving community, and we want to make sure that you already have a friend there once you log on.
Absolutely. Yeah, and if you guys have any questions on how to use it, get in, like Reinhard said, you can contact any one of us, and we'll set you up with that information to get you on there. We want to get everyone on there that we can. That's the goal. So
also, it's work in progress, right? So
right.
Our team is constantly adding new features. We're still sort of in a beta testing mode with our initial users that we have on there. We didn't do an official press release yet. We didn't announce it in a big way, but much rather by word of mouth and through our select group of ambassadors. Because we want to make sure that everything's running perfectly. We're updating our database, we're making it better, and then the next big bang is going to be our event feature. So people will almost find like an event calendar on there, where you can find the Smokin Tabacco show, for example, or the Cigar Authority, all the virtual programs that are going on a daily basis. Plus, you will find all the physical events, and people can create their own event. So if you live in a faraway, remote area, I don't know, in northern Idaho, and your next cigar lounge is like 200 miles away, then you can host your own event and invite some people to your own front porch and be like, let's have a herf or a smoke together at 2 p.m. at my place, and then people can come over and join you. Or let's take the example of our business traveler that we spoke about before. And tomorrow you're going to Singapore or Macau for a business trip, and you say, well, how about we meet up at 7 p.m. at XYZ Lounge in Singapore. I'll be there. If you have time, come and join me. Let's have a cigar together. And if for some odd reason or the pandemic sort of hitting us again, you're stuck at home and you can only do it virtually, then you could do the very same with a live show, a live program, and you post a link or even host it natively through the app and be like, let's get it together tomorrow and we'll smoke a cigar through the application virtually.
Absolutely. Now, I know you also were a part of the Cigar Rights of the World group that has emerged recently. Tell me a little bit more about that. It's always great to have groups like that too. So I always, I love giving this stuff airtime.
Absolutely. It's another endeavor that's very close to my heart, and it is, funnily enough, the inspiration and the background is the very same how I feel about the premium cigar industry in general and my role with Light 'em Up. It is about building bridges, bringing people together, and serving a greater purpose, serving the cigar community. Cigars of the World is a unique global platform. It's a grassroots movement, I would say, a union for cigar lovers, where all the people out there, you make up its heart and soul. What the intention was from the very beginning is to unify, and consolidate the voices and the votes of the people, empowering other associations that are already out there with the most important and most dreaded weapon, and that is all the people. It's all of you. It's the weight of the voice and the vote of the premium cigar consumer, because there is many amazing platforms out there. The PCA is trying so hard and doing a great job. Cigarettes of America has been there for many years, trying to act in the best interest of the cigar lovers. There's cigar rights over here in Europe as well, Cigar Rights of Austria even. And what a lot of those platforms are lacking or missing is the engagement with, or the support of, the end consumer, the people who ultimately matter, because we all, whether we're part of the industry or not, we are cigar lovers and cigar consumers first. And all these people, all the global cigar lovers, those are the people we need to put behind those endeavors and behind those platforms in order to make sure that our voice is truly heard. So we see ourselves as a unifying tool, as a uniting platform, a grassroots movement to bring the people together on a global level, and then redirect all the various people with their interests and time and whatever it is to the associations and platforms where their voice can truly make a difference. So we see ourselves at the service of all these wonderful and well-established other associations and organizations, and back them with the broad weight and voice of the consumers. That's the intent.
All right. Well, we have to segue super quickly here, but I'm curious what the cigar news is for tonight.
So the cigar news of the week brought to you by Meeraphel Cigars. Meeraphel Cigars become an ambassador today. You can head over to MeeraPhelCigars.com, sign up to be an official ambassador, get your ambassador coin, your ambassador number, and while you're at it, grab a Meeraphel tasting passport. Asylum ships massive 9x90 April Fool's cigar. The Asylum 9, the 7x70s and have already been sent out, but the actual 9x90 has now been shipped.
That's a big cigar.
From CLE, yeah. So, I mean, that we got to see it at the trade show. Reinhard, I believe you saw it too. You were there. That is a massive cigar. And we had Tom and Christian on earlier last month in October. We talked about it. It was great. And, yeah, that's a lot of tobacco.
I would never attempt it, ever.
See, I
It's too
would.
big for me.
And I'm going to say this on record. No, I know for a fact. Coop said he was going to do it. So just to kind of kick the dust up again into the fish tank. Yeah, Cigar Coop, get to Coop. He's supposed to do it. Remind him. He said multiple times he was going to do it. So I want Coop to attempt it. I'll even throw this out there. I will attempt it with him online, live. It might take a few hours, but that's no struggle
It'll take a while.
That's no struggle for Coop. I'll do a 4-hour live with Coop, and I'll
It should be
attempt
during
it.
the spare notes. The
Spare notes is
9x90
only like 2 hours. We might have to do like a double wide double
mean,
feature. Go
yeah.
4 hours.
Yeah.
Be like, these are the rules. We'll start it, but like we don't go off the air until we're done. Or you know what?
Ooh.
Let's hit the band. Get to the band. and
David C. Wayne says he's in.
Let me, you, and Coop do a Zoom here, Herf. Sorry, I'm trying to read these comments.
Yep.
And he spoke the 9x90. Bruce, I don't think anyone's had it yet. At least officially on the open market.
What's the largest cigar you've had? An 80.
In terms of ring gauge,
Yeah.
I've had an 80.
Ugh.
One time. It was an Asylum 6x80. Longest cigar I've had, probably the LFD Ligero A. Because I think that one's the longest A I've had. Because it's a little bit longer than the Opus A, and I think it's a little bit longer than, I'm trying to think, the Liga A. I think that's the longest one. But biggest ring, I've had an 80, and it was tough.
I see. I can't do a ring gauge. It's not comfortable for me.
Even
more
at
than,
6
like,
inches, it was still a long burn because, I mean, you got to get through that whole diameter.
Ooh. Yeah.
It's crazy. And a lot of ash, too. For the love of God, make sure you have a good-sized ashtray. That's my advice if you're going to go heavy ring. So 90 ring, I mean, it's a little bit bigger, but even a 70, like I'll do a 70 once in a while. And it's a fun smoke, but I mean, the problem is it takes a lot of puffs to get it hot to burn. Like even the 70s, I mean, you got to give it a couple like quick little, small little puffs, and then give you a nice long draw in when you actually want to get your mouthful that you're gonna really enjoy. That's like my only advice with those, just because you can't just hit like a one draw. You got to get the heat going and then really suck it in. So. That would be my advice on that. But yeah, I mean 90x9, sure, I'll do it. Me and Coop will do it if he's up for it. I don't know. He might not be up for it live. He might want to do it privately so he can like start it, stop it, start it, stop it, and then be like, yeah, I did the whole thing. So yeah, no, keep an eye out for that. At your local brick and mortar retailer. If your local brick and mortar retailer doesn't have it, I think GuysCigars.com will have it. I'm almost positive they will have that cigar.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's a beast of a cigar. I'm going to get one. Don't worry. I'm going to get one. I'm going to try it.
All right, all you. Top 3.
Yeah, let's hit the top 3 right away. Our top 3 is brought to you by Room 101 brands. Room 101 is more than just cigars. It's a whole lifestyle brand. It's really 3 brands all in one, as Matt explained to us. The lifestyle brand, clothing, jewelry, handcrafted, Room 101 Studios. Cigars, fantastic tobacco pieces to put into your flavor socket and enjoy. And if that's not good enough for you, if you'd like to get your drink on, Room 101 Gin, clear, refreshing, the best gin I've ever had, and that's a true story. Reinhard, our top 3 this week is going to be, for you, being more of a world traveler than us. What are your top 3 cigar lounges that you have visited in your travels?
Tough one.
Mm.
Oh, wow.
I love the tough ones. It really gets people going. Throws them off their game, keeps them on their toes.
So, my heart's crying when I say that, but the most beautiful lounge that I think I've ever been to was at the Park Hyatt Vienna, in the city center here in Vienna. The Park Hyatt is one of the most beautiful 5-star luxury hotels that you could ever imagine. A place very close to my heart because I redesigned their food and beverage program, and I was working as a consultant for them, setting up the bar program. And they had a beautiful living room. I mean, the whole building is like 600 years old, 500 years old. The decor is stunning. It was a true, like, old school parlor, an old school living room lounge that felt so cozy, natural, and warm and fuzzy. And you had a great selection of cigars there. Unfortunately, because of our local smoking laws, that place is not in existence anymore. But that most definitely is my number one spot of where I enjoy the cigar at. Secondly, I have to say the Sahakian Lounge in London, because Edward and Eddie are most fabulous people. I admire them. I treasure them enormously, and they're fantastic. And so is their lounge at the Bulgari Hotel in London. Well, and then thirdly, in all honesty, Matthew, I have to say it would have to be Las Vegas, because I mean all the impressions from my first ever trip to the trade show this year, together with you and with Nicole, it was memorable. It was fantastic, and I couldn't pick out one in particular, but En Fuego in Henderson was really special. It was
That's a cool shop.
also one of the very first true smoke shop, cigar shop experiences for me in the United States. And then sitting down there with my good buddy Vlad, who's in charge of Castelli cigars and my cigar lab and Lampert cigars in the US. He lives in Vegas. He took me to Henderson, and having that cigar at En Fuego, me trying to grab every single cigar from the shelf and taking it home with me because I was feeling like a kid in the candy store, and then having a cigar later on, that was fabulous. So that would be my top three for now.
I might have to make the trip to London.
Yeah, you might have to.
I'm going to England in January, but not with Matthew. So I'm just gonna go.
It's not really a holiday, as I would say. It's more of just to go visit Mum.
Well, yeah.
Going to visit Mumsy on the other side of the pond.
So you go to London, you check out all the smoking lounges, and then you can justify it as a work travel, and you have to do some proper research, don't you?
Yeah,
Exactly.
she can do all the recon and let me know what's worth going to.
And the cool thing is, you've got Light 'em Up Go in your pocket, so it's all there. You can find everything.
That's
I'll
true.
Make sure to use it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to use that when you go over there. You'll be in unfamiliar territory in terms of cigars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we also have plenty of wonderful people within our community from the United Kingdom. So if you want to create an event or host an event through the application, I'm sure you'll find plenty of wonderful people joining you, either virtually or physically. And they'd be up for a good cigar and a great chat whilst you're over.
Well, I look forward to exploring with that.
Yeah, we already talked about it. She's got a small shopping list of things to grab while she is outside of the United States of America.
Yeah, he sent me a cigar wish list already.
Only Cuban.
Yeah, it's only Cuban.
It
cigars,
feels
but
like
that's
usually it might be the other way around, like, right? So it's rather people like myself who want to grab everything that is available in the United States, because our availability of free world cigars and non-Cuban smoke sometimes is somewhat limited here. It became much better over the last couple of years, and non-Cuban cigars are having a huge momentum now. But still, I guess the United States is sort of the promised land when it comes to cigars, especially boutique.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting concept, depending on how you look at it. Whether if you're an American and you live here and you're used to how we shop for cigars, and then you ask someone like yourself who lives in Europe, and the primary stuff that you guys see is Cuban first, and then you see everything else. Yeah, it's certainly different and it's interesting. For us, I mean, if you're a regular heavy cigar smoker, I mean, you generally know how to get Cubans into the country. I mean, I know of ways.
I know a guy.
I can't say too much. I have my sources. But I mean, it's we talk about this a lot here. What would happen if the embargo ended, and then the Cubans were here like anything else? To be honest with you, I think it would be the Cuban cigar supply and quality has been a major issue for a little while now. To open that up to the United States, which is arguably the largest cigar market in the world.
They would have their boom and then it would fizzle.
Well, not only that, but before they even get to their boom, I mean, they would have their hype because now it's cool and everyone would be asking for them. But
then
they would
go
have a
down.
hard time supplying cigars. And I already know a lot of cigar shop owners I've had this conversation with who said, like, I'll buy them, I'll take them in. But I'm going to have a strict policy on Cubans and Cubans only. I will not guarantee them. So if you buy them and they don't burn right or there's something wrong with them, I won't guarantee them. Anything, like it just, because that's just how you have to be. If not, you'll be going through stuff left and right. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard to get. They'll be what some of like the Opus X and stuff is here. I mean, it'll be like you get a couple of boxes of certain things and then they're gone and there won't be enough. They need to rebuild their infrastructure if they want to take on that kind of supply. But fortunately for them, right now it doesn't seem as though it's going anywhere. So, but if it ever did, that would be a major shakeup.
What if?
I think what would happen is for us, you would see, even in a perfect world, if they had plenty of supply to really fill everyone really comfortably all across the country, I think what you would see is a rapid decline in every non-Cuban cigar brand. Because what's going to happen is all these people who could never get them before, that's all they're going to buy. And they're going to get caught up in the hype. And it'll be a huge influx of all Cuban shopping. And then I think what you'll see is slowly people will start to return back to what they had before. They either find the Cubans that they like and what they don't like, and they'll filter out the ones they don't like and just bring back in their other smokes. Or they're going to find that the Cuban cigars are not really on the same par as some of the stuff that we're already used to having. I mean, arguably the best cigars in the world are coming out of Nicaragua right now. Ask most people, in the Dominican, and then, obviously Honduras is now a growing, major cigar producer. But, you put that up against the Cubans in terms of quality and just all around, and the Cubans are definitely last on that list right now. They're not where they used to be. But I digress. That's my...
Anyway, on that note, though, new cigar brands, you have a new job.
Absolutely.
I know. Let's talk about your new job for a minute. Do you want to start, Matthew?
Yeah, so it was about a month ago or so, it was officially announced, I want to say, that the Meeraphel cigar brand will be taking flight, and you will be at some part of the controls, too, with Jeremiah there. You're going to be Vice President of Sales. Tell us a little bit more about that. That's a really cool and interesting thing to come about, but also just to see you involved in that capacity is great. Really excited for you. Tell me a little bit more about that.
So I think a few of the points that you just mentioned that we discussed before are sort of the perfect segues when it comes to that. First of all, it's the impact that old Europe has always had on the premium cigar industry, and that very notion of the old European legacy, the style, elegance, and finesse that Europe is sometimes and most rightfully associated with, that the Meeraphel family always perfectly depicted and lived and breathed over the centuries. Secondly, it's the aspect of uncompromising quality, and even in times of booms or mini booms or uptrends and demands, when everybody now is trying to get cigars out there, the consumer demand is skyrocketing, and there's supply issues. It's tempting to focus on making a quick buck, marketing the heck out of your product, creating a wonderful story and sort of mystique around it, but then it's probably lacking in depth and especially in quality. The Meeraphel family for generations and centuries has been behind the curtains and behind the scenes of the premium tobacco and premium cigar industry. And even if a few consumers might not be familiar with the name Meeraphel, what they enjoy today has largely been influenced and impacted by the fingerprint of generations of Meeraphels through international tobacco trade, how they got involved early on in the tobacco growing operations and manufacturing of cigars in old Europe, tobacco trade with Sumatra way back in the days, the early days in Cuba, and them exporting not only tobacco but cigars from Cuba over to Europe. And obviously today, as we all know, the most delicate and precious of wrapper leaves, the African gold, true Meeraphel Cameroon tobacco, that's what the family has taken care of in such a pristine and unique way, providing the industry with some of the finest raw materials, and also taking care of international trade and distribution of premium cigars through Arturo Fuente International and Padron. Now, the Meeraphel cigar brand is the last step in the family legacy, and where Jeremiah Meeraphel and Joshua and the entire family have said, let's create something that is so unique, so mesmerizing, delicate, and the essence of uber luxury, uber tradition, and uber quality, those old values and beliefs that the family has always treasured and preserved and taken care of, and put it in the Meeraphel cigar brand, the first own Meeraphel cigar. And it was fascinating to me when I learned about this project, just as it was fascinating for me to get to know Jeremiah. And over the years, we have built a very special relationship of trust, and us realizing that we share the same values and beliefs. And it was like all the stars aligned. And finally, when I wrote the cover story about Jeremiah Meeraphel, about Uber Tradition on the last issue of Cigar Journal, and when Jeremiah revealed to the world that he's going to be launching the Meeraphel cigar brand, it was like a natural fit. And because of my track record, my experience in the luxury world, in hospitality, we ultimately said, this is meant to be. And so I was honored, and I consider myself blessed and fortunate to, with my talents and my experience, support that new project and help perpetuate the legacy of the Meeraphel family through those means and through those projects. Excuse me.
So what is the timeline? That's what I think I'm more curious about.
We have already announced that the Meeraphel cigar brand will be revealed to the world this year through our public announcement, and the first lines of product and the first SKUs gonna be available early in 2022. So beginning of next year, be on the lookout for some of the most unique and precious and pristine smoking experiences that you will encounter.
And are there places in the U.S. who have already agreed to take the cigars on, or not quite there yet? Because I just want to know when I can buy them. that's where I'm at.
You will know, but please bear with us, and
Yeah.
I have to ask for your patience. We will reveal all those details in due time, but we're not there yet, where we're talking about specific locations. But I can reassure you that it's going to be a very select group of hand-picked partners that the Meeraphel cigar brand will be working with, and they will provide a very special experience in terms of how you discover the product, how you get to learn about the unique history and story of the Meeraphel family, the tobaccos that are being used for those precious cigars, and just the entire experience. This is a brand that is built on wonderful values and qualities, and it needs to be translated, it needs to be presented, it needs to be experienced in a very particular way. And that's why we want to be very careful and very selective about who we're going to be working with and who are the people that will be representing and providing those products to the people.
Yeah, and if you want to hear a little bit more about it, hopefully, maybe we can squeeze a few more details out of it. Next weekend, on a very special episode, we will have the one and only Jeremiah Meeraphel on the show with us. I believe that's gonna be at 3 p.m. Eastern. I have to verify that time, but it'll be next Saturday afternoon. He will be on with us. So, I mean, I'm going to try and pick his brain a little bit more on it. We'll see what I can get out of him. We're obviously going to talk more about him and his family and everything that they've done. And it's kind of the stuff that, Reinhard has touched upon already tonight. We'll do a more in-depth interview and have a nice conversation with Jeremiah next weekend. So we're really, really excited about that. So don't forget to tune in and watch with us live, or if not, maybe listen to us wherever podcasts can be found on audio on demand.
It's really absolutely fascinating. I mean, once you get to know and understand the family history and the legacy of all those previous generations, Mayer, Ernest, Heller, Richard Meeraphel, all those gentlemen that have given also their heart and soul to build something that is so deeply rooted in those old values that are on the verge of extinction nowadays. It's absolutely fascinating, and I'm delighted that through the Meeraphel cigar brand, people will have a chance to get an understanding of that and to experience what it means to provide uncompromising quality and take no shortcuts, but to truly say, this is what we want to do. These are those core principles that we are bound by and that we will always treasure and never compromise on. So it's truly special.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be a great fit for you. I think that, I'm just excited to hear more. I'm excited to see, what comes out of it. What you guys have to display and show for us in terms of cigars. It's just so intrigued. One of the things that a lot of people it's come up in a few conversations that I've had with some folks, and one thing that comes, and I know you probably can't answer this, but the first thing that people always bring up in this conversation is, well, is it going to be
Cameroon.
Is it gonna be all Cameroon? I feel like that's just where everyone's mind goes. Like, well, I mean, Jeremiah is gonna be like a Cameroon cigar. But I thought I had heard some rumors that it actually won't involve Cameroon. Is this true? Can you tell that to us?
Let's put it that way, without revealing too much. If you have a family that is in charge of growing the most pristine and prestigious, excellent cigar wrapper, if you have a family in charge of that, chances are that Meeraphel Cameroon tobacco will play an essential role in the
See,
market.
now we're getting somewhere. Now we're getting
But
some...
it might not be all Cameroon.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
I know. But there will be Cameroon involved.
Yeah.
I had to assume. I heard some people say, like, I don't think it's going to be any Cameroon. Like, how can you say that? I mean,
They're
come
known
on.
for Cameroon.
That's what they're known for. So I
Yeah.
had to set the record straight on that. I'm happy to hear that.
One thing you can be sure about, though, is you won't see a 9x90 by the Meeraphel cigar brand. And as much as I'm curious to see Coop smoking that massive cigar, the Meeraphel cigar brand is, in a most charming and respectful way, going to be the antithesis to that, where it's all about the old European legacy. It's all about traditional vitolas. It's all about an exquisite experience of taking the most delicate and pristine raw materials and presenting them in a traditional and elegant way.
I like that.
I do too. I think it's a nice, it's classy, you know? It's classy, it's original, it's old school.
Like you said, it's whatever the
Traditional.
opposite is of a 9x90
Yeah.
experience.
So
No.
expect a lot of
It's-
Robustos and maybe some Churchills, stuff like that.
No, but they're going to perfect the classics.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. You know, it's amazing, you know, just to sit here and talk to you. And again, I want to thank you for being here with us tonight, especially with the time
Yeah,
change.
thank you.
That's tough. So you're creeping up around like 2 a.m. now. That's insane. I hope that when we are done, you can go back and get some sleep from this. I hope this doesn't ruin your Friday.
Matthew, I'm used to bartending for quite a long time. Having worked in hospitality, I'm used to that. So no, it's truly a blessing. It's a pleasure and honor for me. So no worries at all.
Now you were also...
And I get to talk about things that are close to my heart and that I love. So all the better.
Oh, absolutely. You got to have passion. You know, anything you do, you got to have passion. You certainly have a lot of it for this industry. You and I are actually, well, Nicole and I and you were all pieces of a larger puzzle earlier in the year. We all took part in the marathon for the Meet the Professor. That was really cool. You were more like kind of like one of the lead moderators of that whole thing too. I know you were kind of in charge of. It was a 24-hour broadcast, right? So, and I believe it was like every 8 hours you had to end, and part of your duties were you had to keep the live feed going consistently the whole time, so they didn't drop out. What was that experience like? Because that's definitely very unique, even for podcasters and media. That kind of overseeing that kind of production, that definitely took a lot of planning. What was that like?
It was an insane project, Matthew. I mean, I think overall we went on for almost 27 hours because we started on a Saturday and then went all the way up to the regular schedule of the Meet the Professor show, which is usually at 8 p.m. Central European, 2 p.m. Eastern on a Sunday. So we had 24 hours before that, plus the Meet the Professor show thereafter. So it ended up, I believe, at around 27 hours. And I was fortunate to be part of that project as sort of, I wouldn't dare say like a master of ceremonies, but I was sort of co-hosting the whole thing, and I helped to organize the entire schedule. And I mean, just the sheer workload in putting all the pieces of the puzzle together. I was juggling like 9 or 10 different time zones with people from all walks of life. So we had to make sure that whilst certain people from Asia were, almost going to bed, the US was just getting up, and Europe in between. We had to do all sorts of crazy juggling around. And then obviously I did the entire marathon because I was doing some moderations in between, and passing on the torch from one moderator to the other. And I actually never shared this, but I was feeling horrible that day because I had fever and I was shaking and I was cold. So
Oh no.
I was lying down and trying to get some rest, but we pulled it off, and I think nobody realized what was going on behind the scenes. But it was an insane operation, and it was one of the most special experiences with the entire cigar community. There was people who did the entire marathon, like Joey Blanco, who was there all the time, and quite a few others. But in particular, it's because of people like yourself. Nicole, Matthew, you were part of the whole thing. We had media professionals from, again, all walks of life and all ends of the earth, all part of the cigar community. We brought them together with passionate enthusiasts, our ambassadors for cigar rights of the world. There were people from, literally every end of the world. And we all celebrated our passion for cigars. And that's what will always fascinate me about that simple, humble product. It's as I said, fermented leaves of tobacco rolled into a slender, beautiful vitola. Yet it's everything behind that. A cigar is never just a cigar. It's a unifying tool, a vessel. It's a door opener. It's the essence of time. It's a chance for all of us to come together and share and embrace a precious moment and experience with like-minded people. It gives us an opportunity to make new encounters, probably have an open discussion with people who share other values and beliefs.
It was definitely very dynamic, I will say that. I mean, it was... Excuse me, sorry. It was definitely, there was a lot of interesting people that were being interviewed, and even the ones doing the interviewing. Great lineup too. It just a lot of information, a lot of different points of view, experiences. Just very complex. Much like a good cigar. I mean, not to make it like a joke, but like also it plays well. So no, I mean it definitely I think it went well. It was definitely a lot of fun to watch. I didn't obviously watch every minute of it, but it was a little challenging for me to do so, but it was awesome. Yeah. It was really cool.
We tried to watch as much as we could. I think
we
at
did.
Like 3 o'clock in the morning, I woke up. I'm like, what's going on? Let's tune in.
Yeah, we definitely watched as much as we could though, and the whole thing went really well, and I'd love to see that again, just because like I'm such a fan of that stuff too, just the aspect of it. So I'd love to see it again. If they do it again, that'd be great. And I appreciate everyone allowing us to be a part of it too. That was really an honor to be involved. So
one thing I have to say in general, and I believe the last 2 years have certainly brought one dynamic in particular to the forefront, and that is the cigar industry has become a little more transparent. I don't know if that's the right word, but more open, where we have more opportunities now to bring together the various stakeholders of the industry and even people outside of the industry, the end consumer, together with manufacturers, with the growers, cigar media. It feels like through all these virtual platforms, the Zooms, the lounges, amazing shows like yours, which I love and I always try to watch and follow, there we can find all these gold nuggets. We can find the information. We can, literally connect with the people behind the scenes, with the manufacturers, the people who grow the tobacco, the blenders, the retailers. the media professionals. Suddenly, the information is out there, and we now can all get those informations, which I think is fantastic and a beautiful moment in time for all of us as cigar consumers, because there has never been a time when we could get our hands on more information. And in return, I feel like this also creates more responsibility for everybody within the industry, and in particular the specialist brick and mortar retailers, for example. Every cigar consumer now is so well informed and truly knows his or her game that we need to reciprocate that or resemble that as professionals. And that, I believe, is a beautiful, beautiful positive effect of those last years, where the industry has become a little more transparent for everybody.
I definitely feel like last year with the pandemic and all that gave the industry a huge boost in its information delivery. It was an industry that wasn't as technological or online. It was very in person in the cigar shops, face to face. That really changed. It really brought the industry as a whole, even with consumers and everyone in it, really brought them forward. And just like you said, I think everything you said is true. And now like there's so much information that's available to people to learn more and get more involved with the cigar industry. I think it's been a huge help, especially when it comes to like cigar rights stuff. Now that there's more and more media and online stuff for even consumers to get involved in, it's something that now they're becoming slowly but more aware of than I would say they would 5 years ago. So it's definitely been good, and I just hope that it continues to grow. There's a lot out there, and it's hard to stay on top of it, but at least there's a lot out there, and it's good for the consumer. But unfortunately, we are out of time for tonight. I want to thank you again for being here with us. Really appreciate it. It's a great time, great conversation. Always a pleasure to see you. Everyone watching at home, thank you very much for being here with us tonight. Thank you for watching. Also, if you're listening, don't forget to like and subscribe everywhere our podcast can be found on all platforms. We really appreciate it. And don't forget, next week we have on our regular scheduled programming, Thursday night, same time, same place. We have the mystical, no, not mystical. I don't know why I said mystical.
He could be a little mystical.
I guess he could be a little mystical. Former cigar brand owner, now best-selling author, Mr. Fred Rui, and
formerly of Nomad.
Semi-professional chef, I will add, the better part of Hacking Gourmet, of Nomad Cigars. Mr. Fred Rui will be with us next week, which would be awesome. Fred is a great time. He's an awesome guy, and it'll be a fun show for sure. And then next Saturday, doubleheader, we do have Jeremiah Meeraphel with us. And then later that night, it'll be another episode of Spare Notes with myself and William Cooper.
Triple show week.
Triple show week, doubleheader day. Next Saturday will be a longer day. It's a lot of broadcasting. So, so don't miss that. All those, lot stuff coming up. And then the week after, we don't have anyone with us. It's our Thanksgiving
just be
special.
Us on Thanksgiving, probably in turkey comas.
I believe
having a cigar.
I believe we might even record that show the day before. I'm not sure. Given the I have to confirm that information. Also, I believe our friend Mr. Jonathan Carney will be with us, and we'll be doing some.
Or maybe we can just do a Thanksgiving herf.
We'll see. We'll see. There's a lot of options that we can play. However, following that first week of December, we will have the one and only Mr. Charlie Minato from halfwheel.com with us, which will be a very interesting episode. Really getting to talk to him about some kind of different things within the media. Also, it's about that time, the end of the year. The contenders for Cigar of the Year are going to be coming out for everyone, so we'll talk to Charlie about what he thinks for Half Wheel, and hopefully by then we'll be revealing who we have in the running for our Cigar of the Years. We're going to do a top 10. It's going to be out of 10 that we put together, and we'll unveil that list soon. But other than that, we want to thank you all for being here with us tonight. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week. Take care, guys.
Bye, everyone.